Hello, hello. This is Lauren Burke, founder and CEO of LJS Advisory. I am so excited to be here today with Patrick Brown, founder and CEO of Unity Communications. Patrick is actually a former client of ours at Unity Communications. I was Patrick's fractional CMO for about 6 months. We accomplished a lot in that time, but I also really got to know Patrick a lot on a personal level, which made the experience all the more rewarding for me. Patrick, I think back to our initial onboarding in Arizona. Patrick really showed me all sides of Patrick, from being, a business leader to being a girl dad to being a DJ, an endurance athlete. I think Patrick's story is so unique and so powerful, and he's built, such a thriving business that I think that everybody deserves to hear Patrick's story. And I think it can really help anyone, whether you're a business leader or early on in your career, kind of show you what hard work and dedication and work-life balance really looks like. So super excited to be here, Patrick. I won't, steal any more of your thunder. I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into the juicier questions.
Thank you so much for that, unearned, introduction. Thank you. I really enjoyed our time working together. I think we both learned a lot, and we're both better from being in each other's space and sharing the energy. And ultimately, Unity Communications was really built and started by me because I wanted to solve very simple problems. And the problems that I saw in the tech industry was things weren't being done efficiently and communicating in the way that it needed to be done. So I built my own team. And, that's really how that journey started. And also, when I went into business for myself, I was so scared to take this risk, and I was so scared to step out, because there's one thing that I really implore anybody that wants to do their own thing, go into consulting, wants to really take the bull by the horns, as they say, is, how do I get started, and how do I, begin the journey of being independent? And the answer is in your network. So if you talk to people, say, hey, I think I'm going to do this, would you support me? And I did find those people that did that. And when you work for a big company, how many executives out there have said, I think I could do a better job. I think this bureaucracy slows us down. I think this, I think that, especially in New York and all the big cities for these big companies, you just want to do good work. But there's these middle layers of management, upper layers of management, all of these things stopping you from executing things that you need to do. So ultimately, I started a business by being very efficient and to say, this work needs to get done. I'm going to do it this way. If I do it for you, will you pay me? And the answer was yes. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, you really saw a white space, and you were able to build this, whole and now massive global org out of that white space. So it definitely took a lot of courage, right? So let's go back in time a little bit to those early days, before you were a founder and CEO of Unity. You're from Texas originally. I think you were a music major back in college, right?
Yeah.
You've had a really interesting journey to founder and CEO. You were in the military. So all of these things sort of built up to being, making you CEO material, right? Can you tell us about how your early journey kind of set you up for where you are now?
I would say the most critical part was when I was meeting my ship for the first time. So I want you to imagine I've been in school for 2 years to learn how to fix and repair electronics equipment on a United States Navy ship. And, when I'm going and I'm meeting the ship in Japan, I see the ship come into the ocean. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally it's there. And the first thing they made me do after they met me, greeted me, bought me a beer, they were very, very interested in the size of me, and they were very happy. And I was trying to figure out why. And it turns out they were making me pull cable out of the ship. And if you've ever pulled cable in a construction yard, it is some of the dirtiest, some of the hardest work. And I had to go into every single space where other people were working and interrupt them, turn off their power. And because in the Navy, I had to learn to get along with everybody of every social and economic background, color, race, religion. I mean, these people weren't just going to let me shut down their equipment. I had to figure out a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I had to bring cigarettes. Sometimes I had to bring booze.
Yeah.
Sometimes I had to bring food. Like I would say, hey, I need access to your space. And they're like, well, what do we get? And so the journey into the military forced me to be able to negotiate with people I had nothing in common with.
Right.
And by learning what we all want to achieve in life, and to have that winning formula of I need to do this, you need to do that, space by space, inch by inch. By the time we were done with dry dock and I put in the cable and then I put in fiber, and then I knew where all of the equipment was, and I had been in every single part of that space, I knew that ship better than anybody. I
Right.
knew where to repair everything, and I would have never have done it if I hadn't done the dirty work.
Yeah.
And so when I look at business today, and when I look at processes, global processes with people, with leaders, with stakeholders, with founders, at the end of the day, at the bottom level where the work is being done, that's where you learn. And if you're not willing to get in there and get your hands dirty and become more efficient and sing and dance along the way, you're just not going to get your people that do the work. And if you can't get the people, then you're just not going to be successful. So
Yeah.
because of that really impactful, man, I remember thinking I had the worst job. I hated that job. Discipline is not liked while it's happening, but you
Right.
certainly appreciate it later in life.
It's so
And
character building, and it sounds like it gave you all of those essential skills to be what you are now.
yeah, I'm in the bilge wearing a hazmat suit, singing with some guy from Alabama, pulling cable in
Right.
the worst smells in the world. But you know
No.
what? We got to get it done. Whatever.
And look, I'm no expert on Navy ships by any means, but I imagine they're these big behemoth ships, right? It takes so many people and so many functions to make them thrive, right? And
Yes.
one small mistake could be life-changing. Now, we're dealing with business, like, but there is a parallel, right? Like, it's probably not totally life-changing. However, for a
Right.
company like who is, relying on dedicated resources to manage important aspects of their business, like that same level of skill and attention to detail, and to your point, like ability and willingness to get dirty, like
Yes.
you learned that, and now you're living it.
Yeah, and out of that dirty work, I became a 22-year-old IT director in the US Navy.
It's
How did
phenomenal.
I get that job? It's because I did the dirty work and nobody else wanted to. And they're like, hey, by the way, you have 450 workstations now you're in charge of. Have fun with that.
Right. But some people may have cracked with that level of responsibility, right? And you were like, all right, this is a little terrifying, but I'm going to step up anyway.
Well, that's the beauty of the Navy. You're not allowed to crack.
Mm,
It's
you just
no,
don't. Okay.
no,
You just don't. Yeah.
no, it's like they just laugh at you, like whatever, just get your
Yeah.
shit together.
Right.
Well, but now, that is translated into, what I create a customer experience with teams that I build in Mexico, Philippines, US, with brands like AT&T, with brands, like APS payroll, and all these different, between healthcare, crypto, all these other ones. They're every single interaction matters, because it bubbles up to an ultimate customer experience. And that at the end of the day, every single one matters in a way that really echoes throughout their product delivery.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Unity and what makes it what it is, right? So you sit in the professional services category. Your audience is primarily B2B, C-level, director level decision makers. So you really are a BPO, or business process outsourcing, for those that aren't familiar, expert. You service small to medium-sized businesses very well, but you also service large companies like AT&T. So very diverse across categories, as you said, from healthcare to e-commerce and everything in between. Would you say, within your slew of services and industries, that, there really is a sweet spot for what you do?
Yeah. So ultimately, if you think about a brand really is, at its core, what exactly do they do? Is it clothes? Is it toys? Is it, electronics? So the company needs to really focus on the brand that it does really, really well. And then they are going to need to hire vendors and people that do some of the other things just as well as they do, but they don't have the expertise and human capital to build that. The amount of effort it takes to build one product really well, maybe it's engineers. The skill set to manage engineers is a completely different skill set than manage accountants, to manage finance people. So people will reach out to us to help build and manage certain departments that they don't have the core expertise with when it comes to functional business outsource processes. So, for example, for a very large dental group that is in 50 states today, all we do is we verify insurance. We have a streamlined process that before your patient walks in the door to see your doctor, we have validated they have insurance. We have validated that the procedure that they're going to get is going to be reimbursed by the insurance company. And so now 98% of all the patients coming in, you're going to get paid for. So we do things like that. So in every aspect of every single industry, we've created very many efficiencies. Can a doctor build that kind of efficiency? And the answer is no. The doctor's busy trying to figure out the right way to, take a kidney out, to do surgery, to do these other things. They don't have the expertise to deal with, and maybe they just don't have the skill set.
Yeah.
A software as a service company is busy writing code. A software as a service company does not know the right way to, let's say, walk somebody through a dashboard and how to build it. So we really complement a lot of those things, and we're very good at it.
Yeah. And let's talk about the benefits from the BPO model, right? For US companies, there are a number of them. So yes, Patrick does great things, but at the end of the day, the value brought to the table to business leaders is time saved, right? Like, we were looking at these metrics when I was with you, like, how many hours are you saving on a weekly, monthly basis? Partner like.
Yeah, because in the United States, you have an average payroll cost of someone entry level, it's going to be $25 an hour. But someone in the United States needs to start at $20 to $25 an hour. And within 6 months, they need to go up, and then go up. The cost of living is really high. You are not going to be able to maintain really good talent at $25 an hour in a major city. You will lose those people to $30 an hour, 32, or people will level up, or people will move around. And Are they doing $30 an hour, $40 an hour skills when you can have it done for $10 an hour, have AI do it, have other things do it. So, a very successful business in the United States will take a lot of tier one people and consistently level them up over time so that they're managers and they're leaders, they're subject matter experts, they're tier two, tier three, but most of the work is tier one. Most of the work is entry level. And to most people will have a combination of people in the US, people offshore, people doing other things all together so that you have a reliable chain of labor from different markets because you just don't know where the ground's going to shift.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, it's the reliable team that feel like they're embedded in your team. It's, time saved for your own company, right? But at the end of the day, that translates into dollars. So revenue, profitability, EBITDA, like all these really important metrics. So I think, especially in, today's economy, like a model like this just makes so much sense. So obviously BPO, you guys are great. It is a crowded space. There's a lot of bigger players. There's some smaller players. What would you say is Unity's like secret sauce that lets you bring in clients easily and keeps them for the long term?
Because we don't have a template. We don't have a cookie cutter way of we're going to do it this way. Everything is customized.
Yep.
We also only take small teams to start.
Yep.
So when we have a new account and they say we want to start with 10 people, we say, whoa, we're not going to start with 10 people. We're going to start with 4 people because more humans, we're just not tooled that way. We're very, very good at starting with small teams, curating those teams right, creating the right pecking order, and then growing them organically. There's a lot, especially the big BPOs, they're going to start with 50 people, and then they're going to chop it down to the best 15 or 20. I call that Hunger Games. Like, people are competing and they're really working hard to keep their job. Therefore, that's not really the person they are. They're not very authentic. They're doing what they have to survive. And once they get past that breaking point, you see a fall off.
Right.
For us, we like to build and curate a small team, see what they're capable of, and grow them. And where we're very, very effective is we will take on the small accounts and grow it. And because we're not publicly traded, because we don't have investors, we only have 3 shareholders. And the 3 shareholders are the client, the agent, and the Unity management team. So we're all in sync. We are not trying to be acquired, which means we're not going to take on any accounts that we believe is not going to be good for our agents. We're not trying to exit. We're not trying to increase share price. We're not doing things for the money. Is this a problem we can solve? Great. And when you solve a problem, the money just comes.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I witnessed being part of the team is culture. Like the company culture is so important. And I don't know that exists at other BPOs. Like you have a great in-office culture, but remote culture as well, right? So like when people are in the office, you're making them happy, you're making them want to go, but you're also like, hey, you got to work from home today? Like, cool. You do you, right? But I'm going to give you all the tools you need to be successful regardless. That was my experience.
Yeah, we have a culture of trust and verify, where we want people to work and enjoy the benefits of work remote, but some people abuse it. And if that's the case, you need to get your ass back in the office.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's anywhere, right? But the fact that you start off from a place of trust, I think is amazing. And even end of last year, Patrick, do you want to talk about, the investment you made in culture in November?
Oh, well, with the party?
Yeah.
Yeah, like not only did we put on a party, I DJ'd it myself, and then, between between having an event, between throwing a party, between celebrating everybody, and then taking everybody to a trip outside, I really wanted to invest in the time for them to say, I appreciate you. This isn't, I mean, we're not curing cancer. We're
Yeah.
not going to Mars. We're not doing these big things. We're doing all of the little things that are required in a business today that you don't see, that you don't feel like. For example, when we work for a major furniture company,
Mm,
and we have to order the right tensile strength of the screws at the right price, painted the right color, shipped into the right distribution center, and it all has to be able to be coordinated with the project manager setting up the factory together. And nobody thinks about that. Everybody thinks, hey, I'm in Home Depot, this stuff just got here. No, it didn't. There was a team that sourced it, that got it there, that put the right SKU, the right supply.
yeah.
There is a machine behind it, and we
Mm,
work that machine.
yeah. That's really well said, and I think a good example of the versatility of your business as well. So, in today's economy, right? Everyone's feeling it in some way, whether they're actually feeling it now, or there's just a fear
Mhm.
about what's going to happen. So, what value do you think BPO brings? Like it seems like a no-brainer, right? But I'd love to hear from you as an expert in the industry. Like, what are your tips for people like trying to stay profitable, try to keep their revenue up, and how can BPO, do that for them?
Okay, so what BPO does is, if you think about your house, right? Think about how you run your house, how you get your groceries, how you buy your food. If you could compare how you run your house with the way other people run their house, you're going to learn more efficient ways of doing your traditional day-to-day stuff, right? A business is 1,000 times more complex because you got a little bit more people, more departments. You need to understand that you are probably a subject matter expert in your field, but a business, to be run well, you have to have multiple different fields that complement each other, but require different subject matter experts or different
Yeah.
stakeholders.
Yep. Yep.
So a BPO company will have expertise with the right people in the right countries, to help your business grow in a certain way. So if you look at your phone has been designed, let's say an Apple phone, it's been designed in Cupertino. You have engineers all over the world working on code to do certain things. And then the parts and pieces are assembled in China, in Taiwan, in Peru. The materials sourced in different mines in different parts of the countries. I don't think Apple has a clue on exactly the right way to mine lithium or to mine these things.
Right.
But the right BPO company knows how to do that one part that makes your product, that fits that part of the product, so that when you do have a finished piece, it is the work of many different organizations at times, and a BPO company fits in a lot of those roles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, you don't need to hire that very expensive senior level hire, right? You can go to a trusted firm, to your point, who are subject matter experts in that specific area, right? And they provide, similar value. But in an economy like this, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and what people, I spend my time letting people know that if you have a engineer that is building product, that engineer should not be spending hours doing admin work,
Right.
paper work. That engineer needs to be now, there's just different global uh, pools of labor yet have strengths that are different. In Latin America, it's hospitality. In America, it's product creation. We create so many amazing products in the United States. In the Philippines, very good bedside manner and patience. In India, good software development and good efficiencies there. Eastern Europe, luxury brands. So I can go on and on about the different people and cultures and where they fit in, but very much so in the BPO world, we have nuanced approaches to help brands get to where they want to go.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way to segue out of business, because I feel like we learned a ton about Unity and your sweet spot and the value you bring. But I want to talk more about you for a minute. So what would the Patrick of, day one Unity Communications, or what would Patrick of today say to Patrick of day one Unity Communications?
If I knew back then what I know now, I don't know if I would have started a business.
What?
Yeah. So, and the reason why is when you first start a business, for me, it was to control my time.
Yeah.
It wasn't to be rich. I was a single dad. I wanted to spend more time with my kids. And ultimately, dropping the kids off at 6 a.m. and picking them up at 6 p.m. just wore me out. I just wanted to spend time with my kids. And they're only little for so long. The one thing I would say to myself is buckle up, because it's gonna, you have no idea where this is gonna go, and stick to your instinct of trusting strangers.
Yeah.
You're going to meet people and you're going to have to decide to trust them or not. And they're going to think the same thing with you. And you don't get a whole lot of time. You meet somebody, believe them until they give you a reason not to. And I am only here because of the kindness of strangers who needed me to deliver what I was going to say. And my probably biggest commodity that I have is if I say I'm going to do something, I fucking do it. Even if I don't make any money, simply because, I can always call somebody now and say, hey, I'm looking for a project. Do you know anybody who can use a guy like me? And a lot of people say yes, because there are just too many people out there who don't do what they say.
Yeah, that's a great point. So sounds like obviously tapping on your network, building those trusted relationships, and going with your gut, I feel like has gotten you really far. So
yeah, and don't argue over a small difference in an invoice. Like if it's $5, and it keeps a relationship, whatever. Don't,
pick your battles, like in marriage or parenting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, these apply universally, I feel like. Okay, well, cool. So Patrick, as we said, has a global business. He's based in Arizona. He's got teams in the Philippines and Mexico, growing. So if people want to get to know, get in touch with you, learn more, what's the best way for them to get in touch, Patrick?
You can literally go to my website, connect, and my calendar's right there. That's it.
Perfect,
it's
guys.
really easy. I always like to understand the business need first, because we're not for everybody. Right. And I would much rather refer you to somebody that's a better fit than for us to go down a road and then all of a sudden like, this is not what I thought it was. I will only take on accounts that I believe would do a good job.
That's great. So thank you so much, Patrick, for sharing about your journey, who you are today, who Unity is, what you can do for businesses in today's economy. Super helpful. Sure. So thank you all for tuning in, learning more about Patrick, and follow on Unity Communications, LinkedIn, go to the website, do all the things. I promise you won't be disappointed. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.